Thanks for being with us here on ANF Plus. I'm Joya Neal, and taking a look at some of the top stories that we're following right now. There is an investigation involving a shooting at an apartment building in Atlanta that happened just this morning. So here's a look at the scene at Cheshire Bridge Road in Northeast Atlanta. Atlanta police were called to Helios, just off of Cheshire Bridge Northeast, a little bit before 8 o'clock this morning, and that's where they say that they found a man with multiple gunshot wounds who was then pronounced dead at the scene. Atlanta News First crews saw more than 5 patrol cars at the scene, along with a Grady Memorial Hospital vehicle. Investigation is still very active. Of course, we're going to keep following the latest developments on that story. But I also want to let you know about this vigil and calls for change following the death of a homeless man in Atlanta. His name is Cornelius Taylor, and he was killed Thursday morning by a city truck that was clearing a homeless camp in the Sweet Auburn neighborhood. Well, people gathered last night for a vigil near the spot on Wheat Street where he died. Now advocates are calling for more affordable housing, and with the freezing weather expected this week, more warming centers and also shelters.
It's very important that Cornelius Taylor is not forgotten. It's not pretended like he didn't exist, which is, I think, what happened here.
Our city, unfortunately, is going to be shocked into making some decisions about human life.
And Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens said in a statement that the city will review procedures and take every precaution to make sure this does not ever happen again. I also want to let you know about a reward now being offered to find a mother who is wanted for a child's murder. So Crime Stoppers of Greater Atlanta now offering $5,000 for any information leading to the arrest of this Rockdale County mom who is accused of killing her own child. She's Gloria Wright, that's her name. She's 23 years old. She's wanted on murder and also cruelty to children charges. Investigators say her 1-year-old son was found not breathing and then later died at a nearby hospital. Of course, we're going to keep you up to date with all the latest developments on the investigation there. Okay, let's head to DeKalb County. We have some positive news for thousands of people in that community. The boil water advisory put in place on Wednesday after the water main break has mostly been lifted. There are a few sections where customers still do need to boil their water before drinking. It's mainly for the area on Claremont Road between North Decatur Road and Scott Boulevard. The advisory is because of more than 80-year-old pipe broke on Claremont Road, as we reported to you here on Atlanta News First. Crews did finish repairs on the water main on Thursday, and now DeKalb County CEO is proposing a water rate hike to update aging water and sewer infrastructure as well.
But at the same time, he was working on...
And also making headlines, former Atlanta mayor and civil rights icon Andrew Young spent the night in the hospital. His family says the former UN ambassador was taken to the hospital as a precaution, but thankfully is doing well. A source close to Atlanta News First said the 92-year-old was taken in for light chest pains. Young was last seen delivering the homily at former President Jimmy Carter's state funeral in Washington, D.C. last week. And today, so many events honoring the late civil rights icon, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., including in Stonecrest, where the NAACP's DeKalb County Branch held its 23rd annual Martin Luther King Jr. Parade. Atlanta News First Blake Devine was there.
Wet weather conditions didn't slow down hundreds of people from partaking in the 23rd annual MLK Day Parade, as we saw all the sights and sounds from this celebration.
Everyone came out while it was raining, and to come out and honor Dr. Martin Luther King, even on a day that we know that there were times he walked in the rain. So it means a lot to see everyone participating.
A celebration of the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. was on full display in Stonecrest on Saturday, as all sorts of organizations, cheerleaders, and bands marched to music. Samin Alam always looks forward to performing in this parade with his high school band.
I've been doing this since I was a freshman. I'm a senior now. You know, we do this parade every year. Every year it's a good time. We're out here, we're celebrating. Everyone comes out.
This year's parade, put on by the NAACP's DeKalb County Branch, had a new route, starting in the parking lot at the new Blackwall Street Market and coming to a close in the heart of Stonecrest.
We get to dance together, any race, any gender. We get to be free.
The theme for this year's parade is Still I Rise, as this event always puts a smile on Joya Neal's face.
The biggest takeaway is to see people come together, all races, for the common cause.
On Monday, MLK Day and the presidential inauguration will take place on the very same day for the first time since 1997. Reporting in Stonecrest, Blake Devine, Atlanta News First.
All right, let's talk about dry January for a moment. A lot of people, trying to participate in this seems to become more popular every year, when people try to stop drinking alcohol during dry January. But Atlanta News First reporter Josh Skinner spoke with a Georgia Tech grad who created a different way than the all or nothing approach, hoping to help more people.
What if I told you dry January might not be the best way to cut back on drinking? Vedant Pradeep has the numbers to prove it, which is why he founded Reframe while a student at Georgia Tech.
We started up trying to help people with hypoglycemia.
But as many companies do, Pradeep pivoted, noticing that quitting alcohol cold turkey didn't seem to work.
Alcohol is a bad coping strategy, but it is a coping strategy.
Reframe went live in 2020 and includes voluminous options for people to help cut back or quit drinking, as well as a massive support network.
We now have the world's largest community of people that are trying to cut back on alcohol.
Most of all, it's seen success with over 1 million people using the app.
It helps you understand what alcohol does to your body, how it works. It helps you understand what your triggers are and helps you build these coping strategies.
Atlanta cardiologist Dr. Ali Rahimi recommends it to his patients.
So you get a lot of support in an application like that you don't get if you just see your doctor or therapist a couple times a year.
The science on alcohol is becoming more well known, with the Surgeon General publicly discussing the relationship between alcohol and certain cancers.
Alcohol isn't actually serving you.
So as Reframe continues to pile on users, it's all about making progress towards one's goal, less about being dry than it is about becoming your best self.
And that's the goal, to get you to a point where alcohol is no longer used by you as a coping strategy.
In Midtown, Joshua Skinner, Atlanta News First.
All right, let's talk about this forecast now with First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin, because I know we've been hearing the S word coming up in a few days, and we're expecting a big drop in temperatures as well.
Sunshine? Is that what you meant?
No, it's a
Yeah, okay.
four-letter word.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the winter weather variety. Again, we are tracking that chance of winter weather and a growing likelihood that at least parts of North Georgia will be dealing with some winter weather as we get into our Tuesday. Even before then, we're talking about big-time cold headed our way, some of the coldest weather, especially duration-wise, that we have had in several years. So again, we're situating our weather graphics here, and then we're going to slide on over to the weather story. Want to remind you that this is an Atlanta News First Plus stream. We're here to keep you updated on everything that we're tracking, and if at any time you need clarification on the forecast or what we're talking about, you can simply text us, or you can just comment on YouTube. That's one of the places that we are streaming right now. So again, thank you for tuning in and for watching. We will go into those two places where you can chat, where you can ask your questions here again in just a moment. But do want to welcome you in, and as we transition from news to weather, give folks just a moment to tune in and to join the conversation. Again, you were taking a live look outside. That was in Midtown Atlanta, and it was very gloomy. The rain, the widespread wet weather that we had this morning, that's kind of exited the region. Though we're still tracking, of course, the clouds, but also that chance of spotty rain as we get into the evening forecast. First alert weather day, though, for today has been dropped. That's because the rain that we do see will tend to be pretty brief, pretty light, and it will be spotty hit or miss. Not everyone sees it, so much less of an impact to the evening plans compared to the soaking wet weather that we had earlier today out the door this morning. Early on, it was a steady rain. Optimists on YouTube, the avatar we're chatting with. Thank you for tuning in and for watching, for commenting. And again, excuse me, if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, Atlanta News First is the account that we are streaming on right now. I'm going to pop up a graphic that'll tell you where you can text us, 470-777-WANF. That is 470-777-9263. Much like texting a friend about the weather and the potential for snow, to shoot us a text. Let us know what you're concerned about, or if you have any questions, or maybe you still have photos from the snow a week and a half or so ago, week and a day or so ago. in your camera roll. You can also text us those 470-777-WANF or 9263. And if we do indeed see more snow Tuesday, please do send us photos and videos. Let us know what you're seeing in your area. That'll not only help us improve our forecast and relay information to folks that are streaming or watching on Atlanta News First, but also you may see your photos, your videos on Atlanta News First or streaming on Atlanta News First Plus. So as far as this evening is concerned, pretty decent for the outdoor plans. We do have a spotty chance for rain, a very hit or miss rain showers in the forecast. In fact, we can kind of go forth and go hour by hour here, pulling our clock back. 4 p.m. Again, first alert weather day has dropped. Everything that's falling today is liquid, very spotty. And temperatures are relatively warm. Some upper 40s, lower 50s up in northeast Georgia, mid to upper 50s. More of us closer to 60. Atlanta points south and west, down I-85 towards LaGrange. 7, 8 o'clock this evening, again, we're still tracking a few showers around, especially north of I-20 going up into northwest Georgia. Calhoun still 51, Marietta 52, Atlanta by that point still in the mid-50s, and that's after sunset. So far warmer, ironically, than we should be. Opposite story tomorrow. Big changes ahead. Again, we'll walk it hour by hour. Midnight, 1 o'clock Sunday morning. The bulk of the cold air is still to our north and west. Still lots of clouds. Could even be some patchy fog tonight, but that rain chance is really, really spotty. Now, look at that snow up in North Alabama and in eastern and central portions of Tennessee. That is generally headed our way, and by 7 o'clock Sunday morning, this will probably be one of the warmest points of the day. Technically warmest around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, but not too bad out the door, 7 a.m., with most of us still in the 40s. In fact, Thomaston waking up to temperatures in the lower 50s. Covington waking up to temperatures in the lower 50s. Watch what happens between 7 a.m. and noon. Again, kind of get a mental snapshot of what temperatures are doing on the map there at 7 a.m., because it'll be a drastic drop as we get into the kind of mid to late morning hours and then heading into the afternoon. Tomorrow will feel much colder than today. Not a first alert weather day. We really want to highlight Monday as the intense day, the arrival of the truly dangerous cold. That's a really late Sunday night, more so Monday and Monday morning, Martin Luther King Jr. Day impact. So 7 a.m., most of us in the 40s, some in the lower 50s. Here we are at noon. Temperatures back in the upper 30s and lower 40s. Athens still 49, but Calhoun 37, Blairsville 36. 36 in Carrollton, and I would not be surprised if there were some snow flurries tomorrow, blowing around in the breeze. Nothing that really sticks, nothing that causes travel issues or anything like that, but with cold air, really cold weather filtering back into North Georgia and metro Atlanta, would not be surprised if there were a few snow flurries blowing around in the wind, kind of like as the cold air arrived last week ahead of that Friday winter weather event. We actually had a few flurries before the actual winter weather event, just as the cold air was moving in. Not everyone saw them. Very light, not even that easy to see, just blowing around in the gusty breeze. And I think we could have some of that going into, especially tomorrow afternoon. So 3 o'clock on our Sunday, even more of us in the 30s. It's windy, breezy to windy by this point. It'll feel like it's in the 20s and upper teens, perhaps. But watch what happens as we get into Sunday evening. Again, clouds still kind of there, maybe a flurry or two, light snow up in the mountains. If anyone sees a coating or a dusting of snow, though, it's going to be up above 2,000 feet. We're talking the highest of elevations of far north and northeast Georgia. And no real travel issues for anybody, but across the metro with some of these clouds and the really cold weather filtering in, certainly could be some snow flurries blowing around in the breeze. By 7 o'clock Sunday evening, we, even in the city of Atlanta, likely to fall at or to freezing, if not below freezing. And we will continue to see temperatures cool off, drop off Sunday night into our Monday. So hour by hour forecast, we're going to go ahead and bring you all the way to Martin Luther King Jr. Day morning. Again, it is a first alert weather day. And we are talking temperatures, most of us in the teens, even LaGrange waking up to a temperature in the teens. Lots of sunshine Monday morning, or dry Monday morning. Sunshine kind of rolling the roofs there. So a bright, sunny, but frigid start to our Martin Luther King Jr. Day. These are actual temperatures. When you factor in the breeze, that gusty wind that is helping to pull in all of this cold air, blow in all of this cold air, it'll feel like it's closer to zero. And for that reason, we do have an extreme cold watch in effect, and likely we'll have an extreme cold warning as they upgrade that watch to a warning tomorrow. And then it's also possible for areas further south that we're going to have a cold weather advisory, meaning not quite as cold, but still verging on dangerously cold out there. So extreme cold watch is in effect Sunday night into at least Monday morning. And in this area, wind chills will be either maybe just above or just below zero. And we could be talking about wind chills colder than 5 degrees below zero up in the northeast Georgia mountains as we get into our Martin Luther King Jr. Day, our Monday morning. Areas further south, further southeast, not outlooked right now, not highlighted any of those counties. None of those counties, I should say, are highlighted. However, it's going to be unusually cold, and while you may not be under an extreme cold watch and probably won't be under an extreme cold warning as we get into our Monday morning, there could be a cold weather advisory, which means you still need to pay attention to how cold it is. Keep an eye on the forecast to make sure that you are bundled up, staying warm, and trying to spend as much time as possible indoors in an environment that is heated, more comfortable, and just a little bit safer for everybody. Let's see, Stephanie Houston, bless, good evening to everyone on the live chat. Good evening to you, bless you. Hopefully you are doing oh so well. Stephanie, again, we're streaming out from Atlanta News First Studios. If you have any weather questions specifically about North Georgia and Metro Atlanta, now is a great time to ask. You can also text us. Going to go ahead and put this up again as well. 470-777-WANF. That's 470-777-9263. If you have any weather questions, comments, concerns. Basically, this is not only a forecast, it's a chat. And it's a complicated forecast, so I would not be surprised if you do have questions about the forecast. Now to what we do and what we do not know about what we have coming up on our Tuesday, because there are still parts of the forecast that certainly the First Alert Weather Team is working to resolve. What we know, what we're confident in, there is going to be a winter storm. It's not that, is it going to happen, is it not going to happen? There will most certainly be a winter storm for some, especially to our south. I-10 corridor, Houston, Baton Rouge, Alexandria, as far north as Jackson, Mississippi, maybe even more so Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Biloxi, Gulfport, on into Montgomery, Alabama, perhaps as far north as Birmingham, Alabama, portions of the Florida Panhandle, I-10 corridor from Pensacola to Tallahassee, all the way to Jacksonville, freezing rain, sleet, and yes, snow in those areas. This will be a very impactful and potentially historic winter storm as we get into our Monday and Tuesday. For us, it is more of a Tuesday impact as far as the chance of snow. Monday impact, bitter cold, well, both of those factors, cold and the snow, for our Tuesday. What we don't know about Tuesday is just how far north that snow will move, how far north and how far inland that moisture can penetrate. Because it's going to be very cold. We know it's going to be cold enough for snow to fall, but the track of an area of low pressure and then its ability to send all of that moisture up and over and on top of that cold air mass, how far north does it go? Does it get all the way up to I-85, I-20? Does it get even further than that? Do we even see some snow up in the mountains? It's still possible at this time, but the trend has been, and this has been the case for the past 2 days now, the further south you go, the greater your chance of seeing accumulating snow, and that's the other thing we are working to resolve here in the First Alert Weather Center at Atlanta News First. Exactly who sees what amounts of accumulation. I think in the city of Atlanta, it's likely we're going to see some flakes flying around. How much accumulates in the city versus folks in areas like LaGrange and Eatonton and down towards Macon. This could be one of those weird deals where the mountains North Metro dry, and folks South Metro on towards Middle Georgia are seeing significant accumulating snowfall. Certainly it is possible, and it very well may play out like that, but we do have to be very, very careful because this area of low pressure that again, hasn't even really started forming yet, even a minor change in the big picture, it can mean big changes in our local forecast, and it would not take much for that moisture to expand further inland and to be able to get further inland and for that snow to start falling further north than what forecast models right now are indicating and predicting. That is certainly, it has happened in the past. They struggle with this type of a setup, and that is a possibility again as we get into next week. But Tuesday, First Alert Weather Day, the day to watch for snow chances, especially Tuesday afternoon and evening into Tuesday night. We're continuing to update the forecast. In fact, some new data coming in. Don't anticipate any huge changes. But we'll be tweaking the forecast, and over the next 48 hours or so, there could be more significant changes in the forecast, and we'll keep you updated. In fact, Joy Lim Nakrin and I are on Atlanta News First at 6 p.m. this evening Full forecast then. We are streaming again tonight, ANF Plus at 8 p.m. Back on tonight, Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV, Atlanta CW at 10, and then Atlanta News First on WANF, CBS at 11 p.m. So go forth, get outside. Not a bad evening to get outside. This time tomorrow, it really starts to get uncomfortably cold and then dangerously cold as we get into our Monday, and we do still have that risk of wintry weather on our Tuesday. We'll continue to keep you updated all platforms right now. There's a video forecast update in the First Alert Weather app and at AtlantaNewsFirst.com as well. And we'll continue to keep you updated, much like last week, as the chance of wintry weather, snow and ice, gets closer.